Tion'ad Hukaat'kama.
Mando for the Kute. Mando for the Kute. Mando for the Kute. Mando for the Kute. Olarom join the farm, Mando'a 101.
Sukui. I'm Anubis. If it's your first time listening, this is Mando'a for Dikute, and I am a hobbyist linguist. I've been studying and working with Mando'a for nearly 10 years. I'm working on the Mando'a expansion project with another team of linguists, and all of our work is hosted on the mandocreator.com dictionary. So go there and check it out if you want the latest and greatest Mando'a as it currently is. And I am joined today, as always, with my good friend.
Wellen, Olarom. And as always, I'm putting out a disclaimer that I'm not really a hobbyist linguist, but I really want to learn Mando'a. And it starts to stick, if I say so myself.
Yeah, you've come a long way in a short time, I would say.
The hyperfocus be praised. Yeah, for real. Just putting our usual disclaimer there. All vocabulary that is new and will be used in this episode and wasn't used before will be in the description, as well as the link to the Mando Creator Dictionary. Speaking of things to link, as we promised in the holiday episode, we got through with that, or have gone through with that, and baked the good old Udes and recorded that. So, and that's on YouTube, so you can see our buische there and us doing the shenanigans while baking, and I think it was a fun time.
It was quite fun, honestly. A little bit of a mess to clean up afterwards, but otherwise, all good cooking should kind of make a mess, I think.
If it doesn't make a mess, are you really working in the kitchen?
That's right, yeah.
So, Anu, what have you been up to over the new year?
Oh, well, mostly, I would say we've been doing a lot of Nuhoyir. A lot of sleeping, just resting. I guess technically rest would be Udes. So we've been having a lot of rest time, a lot of recovery past the holidays, just chilling, enjoying the nice scenic snowfall. It's really nice to live somewhere that experiences all four seasons after living in different shades of summer year-round in Texas. So yeah, it's been a good time, and of course enjoying lots of tasty goodies such as the Udes cake that we cooked ourselves.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So we had some Voda over for New Year's here, namely Tyrex and Iron. So that was fun, and also I was in the mood to go the extra mile, and also tried to make myself some tingilar from the Star Wars cookbook.
Nice.
And it wasn't too bad, to be honest. It was somewhat chatisich, but it was also not blisteringly hot. So I really have to turn it up on the spices there next time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like spicy-ish, but it was not like hot, not like burning, blisteringly spicy. Like, no.
Yep. Not enough. Which, I mean,
not
makes
enough
sense.
Heturam.
Yeah, it makes sense when you realize, the source. This is the Arueti version of Mandalorian cuisine for sure.
For sure.
That has been officially published.
Shabla Aruetis.
Yep.
Yeah, what you can do. So
always, man.
Always, damn. They ruined Mandalore. What? Jokes aside. So we had homework, and the homework was to post something or comment something that you guys would wish for the new year or kind of a New Year's resolution. And I give that one over to Anu because he can go through the process, let's say, better than I can.
We got a couple of comments on that, and I think I'll go ahead and read the one that's a great attempt, all in Mando'a here. Bricase vuture. Oh, bricase vutur. It looks like missed the plural there. No worries. Bricase vutur bat evar simir nikopanir ori bora mareye. So that's how it's written, and it's really close, almost perfect. Just a couple of corrections to throw in there. One that I already did almost by accident while reading it. So bricase vuture, happy holidays. And it looks like you probably meant bat Evaar'la, Simir, so New Year. Happy, or on the New Year, it looks like you're trying to say. Nikopani, don't forget to conjugate the active verb. Ori bora mareyir. So you want to find a super job, it looks like, in the new year. So yeah, really awesome job there trying to throw out a full Mando'a sentence, and I highly encourage everyone to use what you've learned as soon as you've learned it, even if it's not perfect. As the saying goes, the master has failed more times than the beginner has tried. So you haven't. If you make mistakes, then that just means you're learning, and that's awesome. That's what we're about. So
absolutely, and one thing to note here is that that's not a super easy construction because
no,
everything
that isn't. Yeah.
Everything that's not really in universe, that's not really what the language was envisioned for originally. So kudos for trying to apply it to like a real world situation. And of course, like good luck with finding the job you're looking for and you wish.
Jate'kara. Good luck.
Then let's just hop on and get into the sentence you said for our intro this time.
Right. So a little taste of what today's lesson will be about here. Tion'ad Hukaat'kama. Who is watching your back?
Yeah. So any ideas on the listener side what we are going to talk about today? So you have exactly 2 seconds to write in the comments. No, jokes aside. We're speaking we're speaking about at least my most beloved Mandalorian and the faction I can most identify with. So we're speaking about the true Mandalorians, or in Mando'a it would be the Haat Mando'ade, I guess.
Sounds about right. I don't think that we're actually given the name in Mando'a in any official media, but yeah, we could just call them the Haat Mando'ade.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
Actually, I think it would be, that's funny because Haat is actually just truth. We don't actually have. I don't think we have a word for true, but
so if Haat is the truth, would that be Haatyc Mando'a?
You would think so, but that actually means visible. So because Haat has its roots in relation to.
Oh, sorry, it has
something
Hayc,
that's visible.
I think Hayc. That would be honest. Now that would be honest, Mando'a. Dang it!
There isn't actually a word directly for true.
Dum.
Interesting. But yeah, this is actually a great example for the adjective ending not being perfectly productive here. We've mentioned this in the past. A lot of people try to make adjectives out of words when the adjective they're looking for doesn't exist. And this can trip you up sometimes because you would think true must be truth with an adjective. So Haatish, nope, that's visible. So the very visible Mandalorians, Haatish Mando'a.
The visible Mandalorians. that was also not bad. I think we should make that a T-shirt at some point.
make it bright colors.
Yeah. Oh, help. Oh, fantastic. So, we can't, of course, talk about the true Mandalorians without talking about my beloved Jaster Mereel.
Yeah, Jaster Mereel.
Who I think is the most badass guy to be. And you guys will shortly learn why that is, in my opinion. So let's just give a quick rundown. So Jaster was born and raised on Concord Dawn, which is the moon of Mandalore, but not quite like our moon. It is inhabitable, and there are people that live there. So I think also, is it something that Karen Travis quoted? There is like a meme in the Mando'a community that they would speak funny, like having a dialect.
Well, that's actually something we get a little bit of visibility into. One of the few times where Mando'a is spoken on screen is in the Clone Wars series, and that's when the Death Watch are kind of rising again and stirring up trouble and start to do some bombing terrorist attacks on Mandalore. There's an attempt on Duchess Satine's life where there's a guy basically suicide bombing the place. And as he's laying on the ground dying, he says something to her in Concord Dawnish, Mando'a dialect. Yeah, it's a little bit different. While I dig this up real quick, a little interesting aside, the Mando'a expansion project team, since we are a bunch of language nerds, we took some time out of our work on Mando'a for a while to explore the Concordian dialect a bit. And it's still kind of a project sitting on the back burner to try to flesh that out a little bit and try to figure out exactly, the major differences in pronunciation and maybe some different words and such. There's still too much work involved in Mando'a, I would say, to really take a serious effort on that, but we do have a lot of notes on this Concordian dialect. So this is what he says. He says, "Kalhava bruchun dralsheran," and I believe he says something like he kind of pronounces that a little differently even than how it would be pronounced with Mando'a accent there. And that means compassionate leaders shall burn. And there are some words that are similar but mean different things there in Mando'a. So it's really interesting stuff. But not Mando'a strictly, since it's quite different. So I guess beyond the scope of Mando'a for Dikute. Maybe at some point we'll have a Concordian for Dikute as well. Oh
God. Mandalore preserve us. Please no. So just let's get back on track here for a second.
Reel it back in.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say, Jaster was brought up on Concord Dawn. And he was a journeyman protector. And from what I understand, that kind of is at least at that point, a sheriff kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like kind of the same direction that we see them going in the current, Disney canon with the
marshals,
right? Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of the idea.
Yeah, so he is basically, the journeyman protector is basically responsible for a certain area to keep the peace and be the law. At some point, Jaster kills a superior officer because he was a corrupt piece of Haatc, and he gets flagged for it and is accused of murder, although he basically just followed his moral compass there, and gets exiled or ousted from Concord Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happens then is that he joins the army and rises through the ranks. And he is such an exceptional soldier and later officer, or Alor, that he gets made Mandalore. And there is where it's not really falls to pieces, but there it's where it starts to go south.
Yep.
Because Jaster has, as I said, a strong moral compass, and he envisions a new Super Commando Codex, or more correctly put, he tries to enforce the Super Commando Codex.
Right. We talked about this actually a little bit in a former episode. We touched on it just briefly, and yeah, basically the idea was he wanted to kind of bring Mandalorians back into this kind of respectable structure rather than being, a bunch of mercenaries, killing for hire and whatever else. He wanted to kind of make things a little more, what would be the word? Civilized, I guess.
Respectable.
Civilized. Yeah, respectable and still certainly, hardened, awesome, epic warriors, but, not just guns for hire. And so that's where he came up with the Super Commando Codex, and it seems like that some people didn't agree with that. So I'll let you continue after.
I got.
Interrupting again.
Yeah. How it's actually phrased in the Wikipedia article is at least that he don't wanted them to be like plunderers and brigands anymore, and just wanted to give them like a more strict like outline set of moral rules, etc. So I think the thing in the real world that's most likely somewhat similar to the idea would be like a military contractor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That they would get hired to fight in someone else's war or conduct missions, kind of a mix of military contractor and special forces, so to say. That at least what I'm getting from the idea.
Seems about
from
right.
From the description, yeah. But there are some factions in the Mandalorian society that have a problem with that. Mostly the Death Watch, the Kyr'tsad, that want to keep the old ways, or like the semi-old ways, so to say. So the plundering and pillaging and the imperialist conquering worlds, and that exactly is what Jaster tries to get rid of, so that the Mandalorian people wouldn't be torn apart in war after war.
Yeah. Interestingly, he got some resistance from like both sides of the spectrum. It seems the Sundari, the peaceful pacifists, Mandalorians, the ones that eventually end up taking over Mandalore, as we see in the Clone Wars series. They were also against his ideas because they still saw it as being too extreme. Because, they were pacifists, which is another type of extreme.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he is caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite literally. Because for the one faction, he's too soft. For the other faction, he's too extreme.
Yep.
And over time, it happened what has to happen. There is a Mandalorian civil war. Oh, how surprising.
Yeah,
we
who could have seen that coming?
We don't had some of them for some years. Like, yay,
Mandalorians,
great. They
ruined Mandalore.
Yeah, exactly. Like having the meme in mind, like, first time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's some back and forth, and eventually some battle brings him back to his birth world or his birthplace on Concord Dawn. Had a battle there which the true Mandalorian forces didn't, let's say, excel at. They got handed a beating, it seems, and they tried to hide. Or when they were helped by a certain Mandalorian with the last name Fett, that was the now journeyman protector there, and this actually is Jango Fett's father. That's where it really gets rough, because Jango's father, trying to help the true Mandalorians, gets spotted by the Death Watch, and they try to get it out of him where they hide, right?
Yeah, they knew that he had escaped to that farm, and so they were essentially trying to beat the information out of Jango's dad there,
which he wouldn't give. But at some point, when the beating got too brutal, Jango's mother stormed out with a blaster and started opening fire.
Because as we all know, Mandalorian women are also bad shebs.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the whole scene erupted into a firefight. At that point, the true Mando'a gave up their hiding and intervened, but it came too late to save Jango's family, and only could save the child, which in turn got adopted by Jaster Mereel. So that's how Jango Fett ties into all of that, and that's also something that Anu is really wanting to bring up.
Yeah, because there has been, I think, for as long as Jango and Boba have been known characters in the Star Wars fandom, there has always been this question floating around: is Jango Fett, and by extension Boba Fett, are they really Mandalorians? And it's kind of a funny question, because I see this we see this a lot in the Mandalorian series, where everyone's always, oh, you're not a Mandalorian, oh, you're not a Mandalorian, blah blah blah, whatever. Anyways, it's kind of a silly question in the first place. But here we see definitive 100% pure proof that yes, Jango is a Mandalorian, because he was directly adopted as a war orphan, which we've talked about, by Jaster Mereel, and raised as a Mandalorian. And so pretty definitively, then we can say that he's a Mandalorian. And yes, this is unfortunately still legends. However, we also have reconfirmation of this in current canon, in the Mandalorian series, when Boba gets his armor back and shows Din the chain code in his armor. That Mandalorian or Mando'a font, when translated, which is unfortunately just English using the Mando'a font, when transliterated would be the technical word there. It says that he is raised by Jango, who was a foundling of Jaster Mereel, a Mandalorian. And so it directly proves, even in current canon, that Jango and Boba are Mandalorians.
And also makes the existence of Jaster canon there. Just
exactly, yeah. Jaster has been canonized in current canon. And
yes!
now we're all really hoping to see the open seasons comic, which we didn't actually mention that.
No. Yeah.
All of this information about Jaster Mereel, you can go read it if you want to in the open seasons comic. It's a pretty short read, and the graphics are cool, so I would highly recommend it. There's 4 issues, and just read through that whole thing. And I will say again, if somehow, some way, Dave Filoni ever hears our podcast here, please,
Make it.
please let us see Galadriel on screen, because
Ah,
I really feel like the Tales of the Jedi was the perfect opportunity, because it's also the background of Count Dooku. And I'm really sad that it wasn't in there, but there's still time. Let's make it
yeah,
happen.
no, like the thing is, I'm really like just teeny tiny segue into costuming there. I'm really like I'm 100% like a custom Mando here. I never had any interest in doing like a canon costume, but
Same, yeah.
but that's the one like exception from the rule. I would love to do a Jaster Mereel. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get the helmet.
Yeah.
Because the ear caps are special and some other details. But oh man, if I'm ever getting hold of one helmet, I promise you all, I am doing a Jaster Mereel. So, okay. The thing that makes Jaster Mereel so cool is he not only has his principles, but he really is, at least from what we have in media now, is really the embodiment of as the like faction says already, a true Mandalorian.
Exactly.
You have him adopting someone. He is a badass warrior. He's tactically sound. He's wearing the armor. He's still a decent human being. Like, oh boy. Don't get me started. What also is somewhat interesting with the whole topic of the true Mando'a, it brings us the opportunity to get somewhat into the realm of military terms within Mando'a. For example, Jaster has a second in command, Montross, like the buffest Mando you probably ever seen.
Dude like, is definitely swole. That is for sure.
Yeah. So the second in command would most likely be Evaar'la, which means lieutenant. The leader of a company most likely, or most of the times, would be Alor-at, which is the captain. And then you also would have like a squad leader, a leader of a Drat Alit, which would most likely be a Rusalor, I would guess, which would mean sergeant. So just so we have also brought you guys some new vocab there.
yeah. And something to add in here, just like when it comes to, the title of Mandalore itself, how it's not always needed and there isn't always a Mandalore. These sort of military ranks and such are not nearly as strictly defined in Mandalorian culture. It's usually kind of an as-needed thing, or just loosely recognized. Yeah, that guy's the leader. Yeah, that's the second in command. We all kind of recognize that, but there wouldn't be, necessarily specific rank bars being worn on the armor or anything like that.
It's more of a function thing.
Yeah,
basically.
Functionally, this person is the squad leader, and yada yada, and it can change depending on the situation. Because
I mean that makes total sense, because that's also how it came about, like in the real world, before everything got formalized that much.
Yeah,
you had,
of course,
you recognized the need for like a group of 5 to 10 people to be being led by someone. So you instilled like a squad leader, and like he had to be somewhere in the chain of command.
Yep, exactly.
That's how it works. So, I guess.
Speaking of squad, we'll throw out one more word there. Trot Elite, which is, I really think that's an interesting word for a military structure. This one diverges a little bit from the other words, because it includes elite in there. And I think that as we should know by now from all of our other episodes having this word in it, elite means clan, and that's something that's particularly close. And I think this really speaks to what a squad is expected to be. Like your squad mates are your battle brothers. Like these are your closest allies essentially on the battlefield, and so it's your they're effectively your clan on the battlefield.
Exactly, yeah, and like you, the most like tight knit unit you have in the whole structure.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to get the lore portion going again. So Jaster adopts Jango. We spoke about that in length in I think it was our 3rd episode.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're aware of the whole adaptation process. So Jaster takes on Jango and raises him. Jango already got some like foundations from his father, which Jaster also, funnily enough, like acknowledged. Like, did your father teach you how to shoot a blaster? Yes, he did. So he was a good man.
Yep.
Alone that gives me such like just fantastic storytelling there. It just gives you really this like non-BS, hard as a nail feeling like that. It's just fantastic. So the years go by, and at some point in the age of, I think it's 13, which makes sense because Mando'a go into like adulthood around that time. There is actually a concept we did not speak about by now, and that's Wertgotten. That's the rite of passage for a Mandalorian to become a warrior.
That literally translates to warrior birth, essentially.
Which makes sense. So that just popped into my mind because that's actually probably where that comes from, because it's at the age of 13. So it totally makes sense there. So sorry for getting on a tangent again, but when Jango is 13, he actually gets his first command. That's why I got on that one. And that's on Quarter 6.
Quarter 6, yeah, that's it.
So Jango's first mission he got a command is Quarter 6, where the true Mandalorians got called in to extract a security team that got pinned down by a force of local hostiles. And it turns out to be a trap, really.
Yep.
So
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Unfortunately, they did not have Admiral Ackbar to give them the heads up there.
Yeah, no. How short-sighted of them. No, actually, they got set up there by the Death Watch and their leader Tor Whistler. You probably recognize that name, but we will be going on depth on the Whistlers in a separate episode, and the Death Watch as a whole.
Shabla
Yeah. Shabla Aruetise.
Yeah.
Basically, what happens when the true Mando'a, the true Mandalorians, try to go in there to fulfill their mission, the ship of Jaster gets shot down by an iron cannon, and they come under heavy fire. And then all of a sudden, the leader of the Death Watch, Tor Whistler, as I said, turns up in a tank. Like, he means business.
Yeah.
And Jaster, recognizing that there really is a problem, that there's something not right, like orders in retreat, but his second in command, Montross, is not having it. And so really, because Montross is not following any orders, or not following that order, they get into a real pickle there and get picked off, basically. So at some point, when Tor Whistler is trying to pick off Jaster for good, Jaster wants Montross to get him out of there, because Montross is the one with the jetpack. Montross is leading like the airborne element of the true Mandalorians there. And because Montross was given flack by Jaster for not following orders and was threatened to be kicked out if they survived that mission, he leaves him behind. This Aruetisic little bastard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, looks cool, but unfortunately, he is a Jate'kara.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's unfortunately how Jaster's life ends there. He is like his legacy is carried on by Jango, but since we really got a little bit in depth here with the lore, we figured that we would do a separate Jango episode where we give you all the details you guys want to know about him, because there is more cool stuff to it. Like Jango is like if Jaster is like, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jango probably is Chuck Norris.
Yeah, right. Jango definitely deserves his own episode, and there's way too much detail to go into in just this one episode. So this one dedicated to Jaster, but rest assured we will be talking about Jango pretty soon.
Yeah, we will. So that actually gives us a super good segue to get into our grammar portion. And that is actually something Anu already established with the phrase he did.
Right, the intro phrase.
Yeah, it's how questions are phrased in Mando'a.
Right, so in that intro phrase, Tion'ad, Hukaat'kama, you notice Tion is a little bit of an unusual word there, and it's attached to ad. Tion'ad is kind of like saying what person. Tion you can kind of think of as what, but really it's not a word in its own right. It is essentially how you introduce a question. So when you want to ask a question, specifically when you want to ask a question that you expect an answer to, that's an important distinction, because there is some differences. There are some differences when we're talking about rhetorical questions, like you're saying something that you really don't expect an answer to. And I think we talked about that a little bit in a previous episode. But for a question that you want an answer to, you throw out Tion at the very beginning of the sentence. There might be some exceptions to being able to put that somewhere inside a compound sentence where you've got some really complicated structure going on, but just for simplicity's sake, if you're asking a question, put Tion at the beginning of the sentence, and the word that you combine it with, there's a whole list in the dictionary, but you can be a little bit free with it. For just starting out, stick to what's in the dictionary, but once you get a little more comfortable with it, you can maybe play around with attaching it to some other words to try to make some interesting questions. But yeah, so Tion'ad for who, like Tion'jor for why, which is basically like what reason. You've got things like Tion'tur, so that would literally be like what day, so for when. Yeah, so a bunch of different ways to form the basic questions. And the biggest thing to remember is that when you put Tion at the beginning of the sentence, you're asking a question. If you don't attach it to any word at all, you just put Tion and then make a statement, you're essentially asking a yes or no question. Like a good one that maybe everyone listening can start to ask each other if you notice somebody else is listening to Mando'a for Dikute, you could say, Tion gar Johai Mando'a. Do you speak Mando'a?
For example, or just asking for a name, like Tion gar Gai.
Yep. And that is what is your name? The English translation there would be what is your name, but as we just described, that would technically literally probably translate more to do you have a name? Yes or no? Mandalorian directness at its finest.
Yeah, I mean the literal translations are always funny.
Yes.
What I just like, I like to play around with like role playing background sometimes with Mando'a. So what quite fits the theme of the episode well is you can combine like the imperative and questions perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine a situation where someone is interrogated. You could go like Kyr'tsad, so speak.
Yep, exactly.
And then can go like Tion'ad, who are you?
Yep.
So that's for example something that works well. So getting across that you are serious with the imperative, and then the question follows up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that one's one that you'd be likely to hear from a Mandalorian guard that's trying to ask you to identify yourself. Yeah, basically, what is your existence, Tion'ad?
So, why are you even existing?
How is it that you exist right here in front of me? You better explain yourself.
How dare you? Nice. So that's how you ask questions and maybe even interrogate some Hutoon that you caught. One thing that's still missing for our regular audience is the word of the week. Word of the week! And in the spirit of Jaster Mereel and being the most non-BS guy, I thought it would be fitting to make Ori Beskarich our word of the week, which basically translates to
extremely tough, super Beskar, like Ori Beskarish, very, very much like Beskar, the tough Mandalorian,
like a straightforward person, like super.
Yeah, no nonsense, solid, tough, hard case, you could say. Like,
yeah,
you know this guy is
hardcore.
Hardcore, exactly.
Yeah, so basically the embodiment of a Mandalorian. So if you really want to make a Mandalorian a compliment, you say that he's Ori Beskarich. Nervot gar Ori Beskarich.
Beskarich.
Beskarich. Yeah, okay. Beskarich.
Excellent.
Oh, so excellent. Yeah. You know what we missed? Idiots we are.
We need some homework. We've got to give somebody some homework. So
yeah.
I think now that we've learned how to ask some questions, why don't you, as homework today, or whenever you're listening to this, why don't you ask us a question in Mando'a? Even if it's something very simple, just try your best. Use the mandocreator.com dictionary, grab a few words, and throw a question at us in Mando'a.
Vaji kandosila. Good idea, Nevot.
Vore. So, as we end today, we want to say Ori vore make gar sushi, which would mean big thanks that you listened, that you're listening.
Yes, and that, as always, leaves us with only one thing, and that is to say, Retur Shimi.
Retur Shimi.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.